We all know Jeremiah Love is going to be special. He's a star in the making, but what else is in this 2026 running back class? I think you'd be surprised. There's a lot of great talent. But as always, get in the comments section below and let us know your favorite running backs in this year's class. Now, just some quick things I want to throw out there. This is a new channel. We only have like 18 subscribers, but we're going to have pumping out draft content almost daily here on the channel. So if you enjoy, just drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps this channel go a long way and really get out to more of the draft fanatics out there in the world. But today we're going to give you our top 10 as well as a plethora of honorable mentions, starting with Amir's honorable mention. This is a guy that I had the privilege to watch in person. A guy that went to Ohio State, a guy that's bounced around to a couple different colleges and positions, but he's a very special talent. He just hasn't found a place where he could be steady. Amir, you have Chip Trayanum at number 11. Run us through your former teammate.
So, obviously he's my teammate, and I could be a bit biased, but when I tell you he's undoubtedly an NFL talent, he is. I mean, he's about 5'11", 6 foot, that range. He's over 230. He's going to run around a 4.3,
Yes,
guaranteed.
he's a freak.
Exactly. And I watched him in high school bust out 4.4s, and he was 230. I think last year he got clocked at like 22.2 miles an hour at top speed. His acceleration is crazy. And like this off strength, I mean, he's benching over 400 pounds, benching like squatting like 650. He checks all the boxes to be on a team. I think, with this running back class where it's solid, but I think it's super top heavy. I think he's undoubtedly on that borderline top 10 range. The only thing that's concerning for me is he bounced 4 different schools and the injuries. That's the only thing that's extremely concerning.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, Ohio State wanted this guy, and he was playing legitimate snaps for the Ohio State Buckeyes just a few years ago. I'm telling you guys, he is a freak, and he might not get drafted, but he would definitely get a quick call after the draft rounds up. But Chip, we're rooting for you here on the channel. But let's go. I have a list of honorable mention names, starting with a UTSA Roadrunner. You don't see too many of those prospects. But Amarian Peterson, a guy that I'm excited to dive deeper into his tape from what I've seen. He's my style of running back. We have Jaden Ott, who had a good Senior Bowl weekend. Jam Miller, of course, of the Crimson Tide. The patient runner himself, Le'Veon Moss. And Jamal Haynes there from Georgia Tech. But here we go. Amir and I are going to dive into a lot of the similar names that we have, and we'll kind of briefly touch on the other names when we get to the midpoint and the end of today's video. At the bottom of my list, and Amir has him fairly higher, is Claiborne, a guy that at 5'10", 200 brings that ideal running back size, but he has home run speed. I'm telling you guys, elite agility. He's one of the hardest running backs to tackle in space. And with good vision, with surprising power, I think he's going to be a great late-round gem for a team that, if some injuries happen, he's not only going to be a rotational piece, but he could be a reliant piece in an NFL backfield. Amir, your thoughts on Claiborne? You have him as your 5th rated back.
I mean, he has elite speed. He's going to be immediate impact as a running back. The concerning is the size, right? He's about 5'9", 5'10". I think he's listed at just under 200 pounds, but I think come draft day, I think he's going to be bulked up. I think he's going to put on size. And the only thing that's really concerning for me is you brought it up. I don't think he's a workhorse. I think he's somebody you bring in on third downs, somebody who split carries, maybe kind of treat him the same way how Travion was getting treated this past year. Just make sure you work his way into the game of football, because you don't want your 5'9", 197, 195 pound running back getting beat up off rep.
Yeah, absolutely. He's more of a change of pace back, a guy that you can just throw in there to give the defense a different look. But he does everything fairly well with elite speed. He's going to be an intriguing prospect. I think he will test fairly well. He's at number 10 for myself. And number 9 for the both of us is Mike Washington Jr. of the Razorbacks. Now, it hasn't been pretty for Arkansas fans in recent years, but at 6'3", 225, Mike Washington, from what I've heard from Arkansas fans, he was a pleasure to watch. A guy that when you look at him and his intangibles, he looks like he was built in a lab. At 6'3", 225, I continue to say it because he is a ball of muscle, but he is a big ball of muscle. I think he carries deceptive speed, and he does have that workhorse ability, as he's had 160 carries or more each of the last 2 seasons. He's not a great receiving back, but at 6'3", you're not asking him to be a receiver. He's going to be a goal line back or potentially a three down back for an NFL offense. Amir, your thoughts on the Arkansas Razorback?
I completely agree. Just off the intangibles alone, he's the top prospect. The speed is amazing. His strength is amazing. The only thing that's concerning for me why he isn't higher, and I see a lot of guys having him as like a top four, top five back. What's concerning for me is even though he has these intangibles, I don't really see him display it at times. Like a lot of times I see him try to do too much dancing. I don't see him really like physically impose his size on these running backs, on these defensive backs too often. And it's like, especially too, I mean, he has a lot of ball security issues. I think he has like 10 fumbles in his career
Yes.
in college, which is extremely concerning. And it's like, he doesn't move me as much as his intangibles say. And so that's why I have him at 9 and not higher.
I couldn't agree more. When I was diving into this class, I think there is a surprising amount of talent. A lot of guys that aren't getting the coverage in the offseason yet. But when I compare it to last year's was so much better in my opinion. There was guys last year that didn't get drafted or were late round picks like Katron Allen, who showed flashes late there for Jacksonville, or Montrell Johnson out of Florida. Am I biased? Maybe, but those are guys that I prefer over a lot of these middle to later running backs on my list today. But overall, if the things fall right and if they land in the right situation, Mike Washington and a lot of these guys towards the tail end of the list could still be very productive. But I think if you needed a running back, you wanted to get it last year. Katron Allen at 5'11", 220. When you talk about a prototypical power back size, build, and just play style, he fits the mold. I think he has great contact balance where he falls forward almost every single time, and more often than not, it takes multiple bodies to get him on the ground. I think he has a very safe and high floor. Now, ceiling, I don't think it's as high as the guys above him, and plus, he's not a great receiving threat. But as far as just being that traditional 2000s power back, he fits the mold. So, Amir, your thoughts on Katron Allen and his stability?
It's so having just under Mike Washington just because of the ceiling, in my opinion. I just think him lacking that breakaway speed, and him just like I think his stiff arm too needs a lot of work. But I agree with you. I think he has a high floor. You could definitely throw him in right away. Having to even be just like an AJ Dillon kind of running back is going to fall
Yes,
four to
yes.
5 yards. And the thing that's concerning to me, or not concerning, but the thing that's impressive to me too is, I mean, he literally has like some really good vision too. I mean, for his size, for him to not
Yeah.
be like the shiftiest guy, he has really
Patience.
good vision. What's also kind of concerning to me though is, kind of watching him this year. Whenever he gets, a higher workload of 15 plus carries, you kind of see his effectiveness kind of waver at times, and I
Mhm.
think his stamina has to increase. But I agree with you. I think he has a high floor. For a fact, he's going to impact the team right away.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a three down guy, but like you mentioned with AJ Dillon, that's a perfect comparison where he's in a way, a situational back, but when he comes in, you know exactly what you're getting from him, and I think a lot of teams are going to love that. Not to mention, he's one of the better backs in this class as far as pass protection, which is an obvious given his power and his build. Jonah Coleman at 5'9", 230. Now, this might shock you guys at home because a lot of people have him as a top three, top four running back in this year's class. I just can't get there yet with Jonah Coleman. A guy that, in my opinion, yes, he does have three down ability. He is very reliable and very durable. There's not a great deal of injury history with him. And when you look at his workload, I mean, he's been more than a workload. I feel like a workhorse might be a bit of a demotion for a guy like Jonah Coleman. He's had 480 total carries, 30 rushing touchdowns, with 80 plus catches as well in his collegiate career. You know you can trust him with the ball in his hands. And again, he doesn't turn the ball over really at a high rate at all. The only things you worry about, he doesn't have that home run speed, no, elite agility to him. He's just a very solid back that's going to do enough to stay in the rotation in an NFL offense. Amir, your thoughts on Jonah Coleman? We both have him at number 6.
I give him at 6. I think he's also going to be a reliable back. I don't think he has a high ceiling. I mean, like when I watch him, I see C.J. Anderson, and that
Oh
might sound
yeah,
crazy.
that's like I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing I love about him the most, he does not fumble the ball. He's touched the ball like 400, times or whatever, like 400 plus times. I only fumbled once, and that's extremely impressive in my opinion. He's 235 now, and even even him being that short and compact, he still has pretty good feet. Yeah, I mean he can move through holes, pretty good. And like for me, it's I just don't think the ceiling is there. And so I have him at 6. I've seen people have him at 2 or have him at
Yes.
3. I don't think he's that high in my opinion.
Yeah, again, you can trust him with the ball in his hands. He reminds me of a Quint Allen for the fact that both of them had a lot of work on their collegiate career and limited fumbles, right? Which is good. You can trust these guys, and I think Jonah Coleman, due to that reason alone, will be a guaranteed draft pick. But I can't get there as far as his upside compared to the top three, top four running backs in this year's class. So he's just out of my top five. But let's recap here. My 6 through 10 goes as follows. At 6, I have Jonah Coleman. 7 is Katron Allen, just because I like power backs. Justice Haynes, they're out of Michigan. At number 8, Mike Washington, and at number 9, and Damon Claiborne at 10. Amir, run us through your 6 through 10 because you have two names that we haven't really deep dove into yet. And maybe cover those guys really quick.
So I have Jonah Coleman, Terrion Stewart at 7, Jamari Taylor at 8, Mike Washington at 9, and Katron Allen at 10. And to start off with saying Terrion Stewart, this is my guy in this draft. I
Really?
love him.
Really?
I love him. When I tell you this guy's
I
a
didn't love his tape.
workhorse, I mean, he is physical. He's strong. He is tough to bring down. I don't even know what his comparison is, but like when I think of like a running back, I want to run the football for my team. It's him. He has a high motor. Like when you get the chance to watch his tape, guys cannot get underneath him. He's strong. He's physical. He's literally a bowling ball. I love him. And Jamari Taylor is a guy that's more of a home run guy. He has great vision as well. And what's impressive for me is that he's gotten better every single year he's been in college. I think he went JUCO, and then went to Virginia, obviously. And then, I mean, he literally got better every single year. He has great vision, great patience. He has a high motor as well. And he isn't, overly strong, but it's like he has a great knee drive to where even when he's in at the goal line, it's hard to really win those leverage battles when he's a stalemate with guys. And last year, I mean, he had 14 touchdowns. He
Yeah.
averaged just under 5 yards a carry. So the production is there, and he did it against really good teams as well. So I love Jamari Taylor.
And of course, we've already covered the other guys. Let's get into the top five. This is a guy that I have on my list. Amir, if you haven't checked him out, I need you to check him out because this is a guy that I'm not ashamed to admit it. I didn't know who this guy was until I played college football 26, and I had Minnesota early in the year, and that's where I figured out, hey, this dude's special. Let me watch his tape. At 6 foot 215, Darius Taylor brings that ideal NFL size. He is very elusive. He might be the most elusive back in his class. I think he's very solid all around back where he can do everything. When you look at Darius Taylor, his numbers don't pop off the paper. But when you actually watch the Minnesota games and you realize exactly how bad this offense was, how bad the quarterback play was, how bad the offensive line was, they might have had the worst offensive line in the Big Ten this season. And for Darius Taylor to still go out there and make things happen, to create explosive plays, a lot of the times he has to make two guys miss behind the line of scrimmage before he can even gain positive yards. And he just did it so many times. I love Darius Taylor. I think he can do everything, and I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. I think at the combine he's going to show out, and in the pros, he's going to be that player where we're like, where did this dude come from? So that's why I have him in my top five running backs. Amir, I know you haven't had a chance to really look into him, or at least if you have, any
Mm-hmm.
additional thoughts about Darius Taylor?
Yeah, I've watched them actually, and it's crazy. I watched them the game versus Wisconsin. Obviously, one of my closest friends, Dale Peterson, plays DN for
Yes.
Wisconsin, and I watched Darius Taylor in that game torch them. He
Yeah.
fried them. He torched them. I didn't realize it was him until after the season, obviously. But I think for him, his top end speed is concerning. Is definitely slacking. But you want to talk about somebody where they just know how to break tackles, and that's the one thing you can't teach. That's why last year I was high on guys like Scatterbo, guys like Ashton Genty,
Yeah.
because breaking tackles, that's something you can't teach. And you brought it up. This Minnesota offense struggled, and he was one of the lone bright spots on that roster in general. And I loved him last year.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you took like an NFL running back and put them on a high school offensive line. Like they're gonna have to make some things happen before the line of scrimmage. Darius Taylor just did it so often. It was incredibly impressive to me. I think he could be a late round gem. He might even be a my guy. We'll talk about those in a couple weeks. Nick Singleton at 6 foot 225. Of course, there's a lot of varying opinions about Nick Singleton and his potential as an NFL starter. But I think he brings great NFL size, and his frame, of course, is there, very filled out. He's a ball of muscle. You should see his quads, man. I don't know what they do in Penn State with those running backs, but all of them got big quads. But this is a guy that, unlike a lot of running backs in this class, has 4 years of experience as a legitimate starter or I guess, rotational back in a big time offense. He had 178 touches, 54 total touchdowns last year, and I said that wrong. Excuse me. He is averaging 178 total touches a year in those 4 years, but he also had 54 total touchdowns in his collegiate career. He pairs that great production with great vision. I think he's a proven three-down back in a good time offense against tough competition. And plus, NFL fans are going to love him because he has a great nickname, especially for the running back position. Nick the Quick Singleton. Amir, I don't think there's a lot of glaring issues with him, at least in my estimation. Give me your thoughts on Nick Singleton because he's a top four running back for the both of us.
The first thing that pops out on his tape is a lot of times when you watch guys with this breakout speed, it's flashy like an Emmett Johnson or like a Claiborne. But with Nick Singleton, the thing that really stands out is his speed. But when you watch defenses have these crazy pursuit angles and they still miss, I mean, it's DBs and corners. Anybody that's played football, college football, and do the pursuit drill, when you watch guys try to meet him on an angle and he still outruns them, he has elite speed. I think he's going to run low 4.4s, maybe high 4.3s,
Yeah.
40. And even on Draft Buzz, they're also thinking the same thing. And you brought up there's no major issues with this game. I think he's a consistent running back. The only thing is, he's a little stiff at times and not overly elusive, but
Fair.
it's like that's normal when you're 225 pounds playing running back. And so I love him a lot. This really should have been my number 3, and he's another maybe my guy, maybe.
Yeah, Nick Singleton was definitely a guy that he's so steady, but also again he checks so many boxes where it's hard for him not to be at least in the conversation of being a my guy. But I'll let you have that one. I think I'm gonna stick with some other running backs. At number 3 is a guy that to me, when you watch him, he looks like Nick Chubb. He runs like Nick Chubb. Jadarian Price at 5'11", 210 of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And Amir, I'm not sure how much you kept up with my draft processes in recent years, but on this channel, for some reason, I have just been a big believer and fan in a lot of Notre Dame talent. I don't know what it is. Last year, it was Xavier Watts, Benjamin Morrison. The year before, there was a couple different guys. This year, Jadarian Price and also his teammate are guys that I really, really like on tape. I think, again, he looks and he feels like Nick Chubb. I think he is a yards after contact machine, as he's averaging 7 yards after contact, which is absolutely insane. 11 touchdowns last year as a backup, mind you. Great power, great contact balance. He's not a receiving threat, but again, at 5'11", 210, he's going to wear you down throughout an entire game. I think he could be a three-down back at the next level. Amir, your thoughts on Jadarian Price?
It's rare that you see two guys be arguably the best running backs in their class on the same team. And it's also, I mean, the last time we've seen two backs be 1 and 2 in their class, obviously it's debatable, is Nick Chubb and Sony Michel. And they were both really good for some time. And the thing about Jadarian Price, you brought it up. He reminds me of Chubb. And it's rare you can see a guy that can hurt you on all 3 downs in college. And I see that in him. I think easily if he goes anywhere else and plays and he dominates the way he did last year, he's easily number 2 in this class. I think he's a day 1 starter. Now, he might not be a 300 carry running back off rip, but he's great. I love him. This is another guy. Him and Terrion Stewart, they're my guys this year for running backs.
Yeah, for Jadarian Price, as great as his teammate is in Jeremiah Love comes with a hefty price tag. You're gonna have to draft Jeremiah Love in the top half of the first round. Teams might want to wait and say, hey, we're going to draft Jadarian Price in the second round or the third round even if he falls. And we're still going to be very happy with his production, even if it's not at the heightened level of a Jeremiah Love in the first round. Draft price is very important when it comes to the running back position. But Jadarian Price, maybe the price is right for a certain team down the board. I don't know why it took me so long to come up with that pun. At number 2 for myself, number 3 for Amir is Emmett Johnson. At 5'11", 200 pounds. Amir, I'm going to keep it short and to the point. He reminds me of Alvin Kamara as far as his drip on the field, as far as how he's able to carry a offense, and a guy that is just the overall complete package in the receiving game. He reminds me of AK 41 there for the New Orleans Saints. When you look at his production, he was absolutely insane. Over 300 touches last year, 1,700 yards, pairing that with 46 receptions and 15 total touchdowns. He can carry an offense. He is the best receiving back in the class by no comparison. I wouldn't be shocked if he sneaks his way into the end of the first round. The only things you worry about is the fact that he's not maybe a three-down back because his power and his contact balance is not up there with a Notre Dame running back in this class. But Alvin Kamara's made it work as a three-down guy at the next level because he is so special with the ball in his hands. Amir, am I too overzealous on a guy like Emmett Johnson to compare him to an Alvin Kamara?
I think he's good, and obviously, when you bring up a comparison, you're not saying they're going to be as good as that person, but just the reminding of that person. And I see it 100%. He is extremely elusive. He is slippery. The biggest concerns is his frame with him being 200 pounds or a little less. But he's durable. He has no injury history. He makes guys miss. He's strong also too, and he's explosive through the hole. And it's like, I mean, I see people projecting his 40 to be 4.4s and also 4.5s. I think he easily hits 4.4s. I think you can fit him in almost any scheme. And it's like you can easily develop a guy like this and a more of a pass catching back. I love him. I think he's great, man.
Yeah, again, Emmett Johnson's special. It's really, I hate when we get towards the bottom of this list and you have less and less to say because these guys check a lot of the boxes. But it really is just as simple as I believe he can be an Alvin Kamara of this next generation. And a team will definitely see that and want to draft him a lot higher than maybe what consensus would tell you. So he's at number 2 for myself, at number 3 for Amir, and at number 1, as I mentioned with the first couple words of the show, Jeremiah Love at 6', 215 is the consensus number 1 running back in the class. And for me, he's a top 5 player on my big board this season, despite being a running back. Complete package is the easiest way to explain Jeremiah Love, but he also has the productions to match. He has 7 yards per carry. He has had 35 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons at Notre Dame. He is a complete workhorse. Like I mentioned, potential top 5 pick, top 10 pick even. And the only thing you worry about with Jeremiah Love is his draft cost because the running back position is the least important at the NFL level. And if you want to draft Jeremiah Love, it comes with a first half of the first round draft price. So it might put teams like Minnesota and Kansas City in that 9 to 15 range. Teams that need a running back, they can go out there and draft Jeremiah Love, and he can elevate their offense and make it the life of the quarterback a lot easier going forward. But again, it's going to come with a hefty price tag. Special talent, in my opinion, he's the best running back I've ever evaluated in the 5 years of doing this. Amir, your thoughts on Jeremiah Love? I think he's a better prospect than the Bijans, then the, of course, who came out last year, Genties of the world. That might be a crazy statement, but your thoughts?
I completely agree. Competition isn't an issue. Injury history is not an issue. Production isn't an issue. Speed isn't an issue. Power isn't. I mean, he has no major flaws, and I think his floor is at least borderline Pro Bowler. I
Yeah.
can maybe even say Pro Bowler. And it's another one of those things where you brought it up, the draft cost, right? Do you value investing into, like a really consistent tackle or drafting a quarterback higher? Or do you want to value drafting a running back high? And it's extremely risky. That's the only con for him, for his guy, or for this guy, is that draft cost. But other than that, I mean, he quite literally has no flaws at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the safety position as well, and it's the same thing with Caleb Downs. In my opinion, those could be the top 2 players on my board when it's all said and done. But you can't just like the idea of a Caleb Downs and a Jeremiah Love. You have to love the idea, no pun intended, in the first top 10, top 12 picks of the draft because that's where they deserve to be drafted. But which team's willing to pull the trigger? Because those positions are more replaceable than others. But just to recap my top 10 here, of course, I have Jeremiah Love at 1, Emmett Johnson at 2, Jadarian Price at 3, 2 Fighting Irish in the top 3, Nick Singleton at 4, Darius Taylor at 5, and my 6 through 10 we already went through. Amir, Recap your top five before we get through 6 to 10.
So I have Jeremiah Love at 1, Jadarian Price at 2, Emmett Johnson at 3, Nick Singleton at 4, Claiborne at 5. Then I have C.J. Anderson at 6, Terrion Stewart at 7, Jamari Taylor at 8, Mike Washington Jr. at 9, and Katron Allen at 10.
I didn't even notice this. Your 6 through 10 is just power backs.
Yeah, yeah, it
It's just
is.
power backs, guys that are bowling balls. That's my style of back. And hey, by the way, last year I had Kyle Monungai as a top 10 running back. So running backs like that I enjoy. I
Hey
think
man,
that
look, I told you the running backs I hate tackling the most is Jonah Coleman and Terrion Stewart, those short 5'8" running backs where you can't get underneath them. I mean, they run you over. I mean, shoulders almost pop out of place and are bowling balls.
the reason I started to love that style of running back was guys like Michael Turner there
Yeah.
for Atlanta when we were growing up and watching. Steven Jackson, even though he was a bit more, he was taller, but he was just a power back. Those guys wear you down, and if they end up in a good offense where they're going to make deep runs in the playoffs, those end up being the MVPs of their offenses, even if they're not paid like it. But that is the running back episode. We are knocking out these positions at a rapid pace. As always, get in the comments section below and drop your favorite running backs in this year's class. I'm always interested to see what you guys have to say. And also, subscribe to the channel because this is a new channel and we're trying to hit 100 subs by the time the draft comes